Well, that's the thing. Society wants to give you a number, and they say, okay, here's your number, a FICO score, right? And then, but if you have a small number, but you want a big number, you need to talk to somebody like Tiffany Cross from Dedicated Credit Repair. How are you, Tiffany?
Hi. Thank you so much. Yay! Thank you for having me, you guys. I'm seriously honored.
We love you.
We are going to get into some awesome stories because you have two very big fans here that have personally experienced your magic, your credit score magic.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yep. I didn't believe in magic until you came into my life.
Oh, my gosh.
I believe in magic.
Well, I'll tell you what, and maybe we'll start there, is that in school, they never teach you about credit scores and all this kind of stuff. At least, if they did, I wasn't paying attention, right? And so you enter adulthood, and if you go to college, they have people on the college campus, trying to get you to sign credit apps and all that kind of stuff. Like, hey, it's a $500 credit card, and you only have to pay like $8 a month back. Like, sweet!
Absolutely. Beer money.
Yeah, beer money. You don't know anything about credit, how it works,
Right.
and then pretty soon you're at the bottom of a hole looking up like, oh, when you're in your mid-20s, mid-30s, or ever, right? And so I didn't know how credit worked. And then so I found myself at like a 540. And then somebody's like, well, you need to go talk to Tiffany at Dedicated Credit Repair.
I remember that. That was like yesterday, it feels like. And it was not. It was like, what, 12 years?
It's been a couple years.
Yeah. It feels like yesterday. But yeah, I remember that.
And I'm proud to say that after I learned all of your magical advice and all the informative things, now over the 800 score. So thank you very much.
So
for
good.
that.
And I love that. It's, it's easy for me to talk about how the program works, but when you have a real life testimonial that's willing to share their experience, obviously that's super valuable. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
And I also remember how skeptical you were.
I was, well, because it's interesting because you think of the credit repair industry, it's almost kind of similar to real estate where you're like, you got your guard up kind of thing because you feel like you're going to be taken advantage of. But after 30 minutes with you, because you do your consultations and stuff, I was like, wow, she's really smart.
She's smart.
I should listen to her. And you changed my life.
Aw,
so I'm
thank you,
very
John.
grateful for that. Very much.
Yep, me too.
Thank you
Me
guys.
too.
Aw,
Me too.
It's like a group hug.
Out
Love
of a
fest.
divorce and 500s, I was in the 500s, had all of this stuff on there, had extra stuff that I didn't want there from the previous marriage, didn't feel fair. And you sat down in your office and you were so nice to me, and I was ashamed. And I was embarrassed. And I'm like, I am the owner of a brokerage, and I should have done better than this, and I should have better than that. And you were so nice to me.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
You had such grace on me. And that was what got me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then you were like, okay, you just need to do these 3 things. Okay, you're going to open 3 credit cards. Okay, you're going to make these payments. And you just told me exactly what to do. And now I'm over 800.
That's so amazing. I love that. And when you told me that, I was like, okay, I'm going to do cartwheels across the office because who better to, work miracles for than the big Susan over here who knows everyone in the universe. So that was a wonderful, success story.
No, you changed my life and you gave me buying power. And as a single person,
So good.
And a business owner, that's life-changing. I do not have enough words of gratitude. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you. Both
Truly,
of you.
You're
Thank
one
you
of
so
my
much.
heroes. One of my favorite heroes.
Oh my gosh. Well, I
Yeah.
am so grateful that you guys that you're willing to share that. I think what you touched on, really warms my heart in that, credit challenges happen to really good people. All kinds of challenges happen to really good people. But the problem with credit challenges is that the consequence of a negative item hitting your credit is 7 years. Whereas most of our little hiccups in life, you can kind of, dust yourself off and find yourself across the finish line a lot sooner. And so it's such an unforgiving system. And frankly, it's corrupt. I think the FICO score system and how it's designed in favor of credit card companies and very rarely are the things that build a FICO score credit, for example, the same things that make good financial sense.
Yeah.
So when you're following like Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman and all the really knowledgeable financial planners in the world that I tend to admire and look up to, a lot of them have just crazy good advice that I follow, but I can almost never share that information with a consumer in the middle of a consultation because it's so contrary. And so a lot of times when you have an 850 FICO, which is perfect,
Yeah.
you got a lot of things that you don't want. You got a lot of debt, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so thank you for sharing that. And you're right. The education is missing. It's missing in all levels of education. It's so unfortunate.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's intentional because they don't want you to understand these things because then they could charge you more money on the interest and all that kind of stuff. So
Absolutely.
That's my suspicion. So.
You know, and things like, yesterday or today, we have constant conversations with, thousands of clients now. It's kind of fun to see where we've grown. But the number one thing is, well, should I pay my car off? In what world would you tell someone no? I mean, it's like such a wise thing to do, to not have to pay interest for 15 years or however long these car loans are, 5-6 years depending. 15 years, that would be an awful loan. Sorry. But you know what I mean, where you're just paying and, you get no reward. Actually, you get penalized for paying off a car. And then you get penalized again when you buy the next one. So, all those factors are so in conflict with what makes good financial sense. And that is missing from the high school level. And I laugh because so many of the young people in my program that I can't even believe are old enough to be in my program now, that I'm old enough for them to be in like, oh my gosh. They'll say things to me like, can I Venmo you? I'm like, no, maybe one day. I mean, but they don't have checks.
Yeah. Can I Zelle you?
Yeah. Can I Zelle you? Can I Venmo you? They don't even have the ability or know how to write a check, let alone, how all this works. So one day that will be what I do next, is I will be in creating curriculums for people.
Well, one of the key words that I heard you say in your testimony just now was grace.
Yes.
And from what I understand about Tiffany's story, which I would like to jump into, is that I think grace comes from a place, which rhymes, but because you've gone through a hard time.
Yeah.
And so, I don't think you wake up one day, you're like, hey, I'm going to start a credit repair business.
No, absolutely not.
So how did
So
that journey actually start?
Such a good story. I wish it was someone else's story. It's always nice. Oh boy. Do you have to cut?
No.
It's an alarm.
Let it ring.
It's an alarm.
Let it ring.
It's going to keep going.
It means your time to come.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Do you need to get it?
Do you want me to turn that off?
You
Will
can turn it
that
off,
ruin
yeah.
everything right now?
No.
Go ahead and turn it off.
No, because we're just
Guys,
really
I
normal.
literally turned my phone off, but the alarm's going to go off. What are the chances? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, that was
Alrighty
funny.
then. That doesn't happen again until 6:30, so we'll be okay. Okay. Do you want me to start again? Or you want to ask again?
No, there's no cut.
There's
That
no
was
cut.
all
We're going to run with it. Let's go.
Alrighty then. Glad I didn't read the title. I'm just kidding.
So how did your story start with all this?
Okay, so I came from San Diego, and I was, I was young and dumb, and making a lot of money, way too much money for that age. I was, I wanted young 20s, I think. I lived in Gaslamp all by myself, in a big, beautiful condo. Just kind of doing life, living the life. Total party girl. Don't tell my children. We talked about that earlier. No, but I was all very, very career driven and enjoying my life in San Diego. And I wanted to stay there with all my heart. And that was right around 2004, 2005. And I was a Gaslamp girl, and I had no intentions of moving. And at that time ended up meeting someone that, wanted to marry me, go figure. And at that time he's like, you know what, the housing market is insane. I know you want to be in San Diego, but the house that you want is like a $3 million home. And you don't make that much, and nor do I. So we went driving north, and it seemed like forever at the time. I remember Escondido feeling like it was like another country, because that was way more north than I'd ever want to be anyways. And then we kept going. It felt like forever. Next thing you know, we landed in this place called Temecula. Who in the world lives in Temecula? I had all these misconceptions about it. But nonetheless, fell in love with it and fell in love with the house right on a golf course. It was beautiful. You guys know Red Hawk?
Yep.
Okay. And for what would have been $900,000 in San Diego at that time, we were able to buy it for $440,000. So no brainer, bought this house. And then all of the neighbors who had purchased the same house for $100,000 less just 4 months before that drove over with wine and welcome to the neighborhood. Thank you so much for helping us, earn $100,000 equity in 3 weeks, Anyways, had fallen in love with the area. And then, like clockwork, the loan went adjustable, with a prepayment penalty. And we had to walk out the very embarrassing experience of a short sale where our mortgage was like almost $6,000. We were young. I had changed careers at this time. So it was humble pie central, which a lot of people never have to do, but I did. left my beautiful home and went in. I think we had about $60,000 worth of credit card debt at that time. So it was just a pretty awful time.
So just an avalanche of
It was
bad financial decisions.
It was awful. And so then we continued on north to this ever, growing journey of living in Menifee for a little while, and literally licked our wounds, kind of healed our marriage. The stress of finances can destroy any marriage. And then ended up having 2 beautiful little boys. And in that process of that healing time, emotional and financial time, I, in everything I do, decided to geek out on everything to do with credit repair, credit maintenance, bankruptcy, whatever it took. And in that process, we mastered the art of learning how to do credit repair. So it was truly the quest of trying to find a company that was legal and ethical to do what I needed. And so we set out to become the company that we wished we'd had when we needed it. And so that's truly the heart of our business. Aww. And we walk that out every day 16 years later.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And so when you mentioned Grace, I was like, yeah, because I kind of knew about her story. And that's where it comes from, because it is hard and it is shameful and embarrassing, the feelings that you feel. Because money is emotional. And so when you have those problems, so many people just want to hide it. And that's why I think a lot of people resist getting the credit repaired, because they don't want people pulling back the curtain and saying, oh, you got this in there. But knowing your personal story of where you come from, and you've been in that same closet. And
it's embarrassing to, for years, I wouldn't share my story. And it's funny because you look back, I'm like, well, that probably would have been the smartest thing to do if I wanted to grow my business. But when it's still so new and it's still so fresh, it's still so much a part of who you are. I almost kind of had more of the fake it till you make it approach to my business. Like, let's be super successful appearing, and really that is not what anyone wants. They want to do a business with someone that's authentic. We talked about that the other day. A true person. And to be humble enough, you guys, if you only knew how much I don't like credit repair, the concept of it, the people, the industry. My husband's ex-girlfriend, she's a credit bandit. I'm like, okay, that's the very reason why someone like me wouldn't want to be a part of the industry, because it does have a really negative connotation.
What's a credit bandit?
She was being spiteful and calling, she's a credit repair person, so she's a credit bandit, and I thought, well, interesting. I mean, it makes a good living. So we're not credit bandits. We're clearly like, a really Christian family operating with the highest ethics. But I feel like, anyone can choose a profession that's, glitzy and glamorous. And really mine isn't. It's very much dealing with people in severe hardships. Sometimes not the easiest clients to communicate with. Not always the most educated at times. But for the most part, everyone's so grateful and so humble and so willing to receive information. And like I said before, credit challenges happen to everyone. It can happen to the broker of a real estate office who went through a divorce, catastrophic illnesses and deaths. Those things can't be planned for, and we don't always have 5 years of expenses saved under our mattress, you know?
But I vouch for the integrity of what you just said, though, too, because even when... I would just keep going. I'm just going to stay with Tiffany forever. If something pops up, she'll take care of it. Do you know what I mean? But you even emailed and reached out and said, Susan, we are done.
I'm breaking up with you. I love your money. I would love to, but there's literally nothing other than...
We've exhausted our ability to help you because we helped you really, really good. But that meant a lot to me, because sometimes you just aren't paying attention to what's going on, and you were like, hey, we're good here. I don't want to take any more of your money. You were so nice about it.
Thank you. And that it's important. I think we all operate in that, and that's what I love about like-minded friends in the industry, is that I don't need a huge village of people around me. I just want the right people that see it the same way, that have a heart for their clients, and to do the right thing at all costs.
Well, that's why I'm always proud to endorse you, and I'm always proud to have your flyers in the office, and I'm always proud to send people to you, because I know, because I have a real life testimony, and that makes it to where if you're trying to buy a house, I mean, sometimes you just have to start at the very beginning. And you are the beginning. And how blessed are we that at the beginning there's this beautiful woman of grace that doesn't judge and condemn, but lifts us up and says, hey, we can get to where you want to go. Tiffany, there's not a lot of people in the world like that.
Aww.
I really admire it. And
thank you.
That
makes me want to cry.
But I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. So anyone listening to this, you need to touch base with Tiffany, just because it is life-changing. And don't be afraid, because fear will stop you. False evidence appearing real. I was afraid to say something. I was afraid, oh gosh, I can't say anything. I can't let anyone know. and you didn't make it scary at all.
No, and it's so liberating to have a roadmap, and that's what we call it.
Yes.
We call it a credit repair roadmap because, quite frankly, half the people we talk to, they don't need me. They think they need me, they want to need me, but really they just need to establish credit, like we talked about.
Yeah.
We'll give them that information for free. We're not going to charge you for that information. So just having a roadmap and a plan, everybody can Google anything nowadays, right? And the dangerous part about Temecula Talk and Murrieta Talk are all these really well-intentioned friends that speak out of turn about things that they shouldn't be speaking about. When you go to Google, you get 75,000 answers to one question, and only one of them's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, which one do I listen to?
Yeah.
So anyhow, thank you so much for being willing to say that. It is such a journey. I went through a divorce 2 years ago. I'm already remarried, which is crazy and amazing. But it did definitely, there was a point in time, if I was going to be really honest, where my business became so almost Groundhog's Day, where it's like the same thing every day. And I felt like I'd kind of reached my peak as far as what I could do and what I knew. And then when I walked out my own divorce, I realized, oh my gosh, every time I start talking to clients going through a divorce, I'm like, listen to me.
Yeah, right?
You have to do these things and this and that. And it reignited, once again, a passion for what I do. And I wish God would quit doing that. Yeah. It'd be nice if we could use someone else. Like, all right, I get it. But, at that time, you just use, again, you got to keep using your own story.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you put on a falsehood or a facade to the people around you that you got your what together all the time, and let's be honest, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing that makes you approachable, is that you don't pretend that you're something.
No, I don't.
You are hysterically transparent.
I am. I know. I've been that way my whole life. It's interesting. Yeah.
But your family is adorable.
Aw, thank you.
Oh,
yeah, they're
my
equally as
gosh.
transparent. I have some stories, but
Yeah.
but thank you. Yeah.
Speaking of the roadmap, what would that look like? So somebody's watching this video right
Okay.
now and they're like, oh my gosh, I have some problems. What's that very first step? What happens? And then what happens after that? What happens after
So
that?
the very first step is to go, okay, I'm not going to be embarrassed. That'd be like having something you need to go to the doctor for and not doing it, right? This is truly your credit health. So just making the decision, you know what, I have nothing to lose. I just have a really good free consultation. That's number one.
So free consultation.
Free consultation.
Okay.
In fact, John, I'm just kidding. That's my business voice.
Yeah.
It's
like the server voice.
Well, John. No. Most companies that offer what we do, they don't even, it's like a 15-minute, mostly enrollment. I mean, they're trying to enroll you. And our website, there's not even a place to enroll. There's no place to put a credit card to sign up. We require it because we want to make sure that we can help. Right? And
Excellent.
it shouldn't be rare,
Yeah.
but it's our standard. So it's a 30 to 45 minute consultation with this whole COVID-19 thing. I still prefer to be in person. I still do that, and I honor people with whatever comfort level they have. If they'd rather do it Zoom or phone, I'd much rather see eyeballs, because I feel like it really helps you understand the authenticity of what we're doing and all that. But that consultation consists of reviewing a credit report from the beginning to the very end, looking at their credit card utilization, their debt amounts, giving them coaching as far as collection accounts and how to settle them, and prioritizing which ones to settle in what order, how to settle, how to negotiate. And then we start looking at all their ickies, their missed payments and their charge-offs, and do they have wage garnishments, and do they have tax liens, and we just come up with a solid plan so that they know when they start the program exactly what we're going to be doing. And then I really tell people, and this is kind of a segue into what we were talking about, things are different now than they've ever been for 16 years in my business.
What's going on?
Nothing's overnight. As much as I appreciate the magic, whatever I am, I was going to say tooth fairy. No, I'm not the tooth fairy, although I am lately. I'm the FICO fairy. Yeah, okay, so I love that. And in previous years, really we could make a pretty substantial increase in a score within 3 months, 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's not the case now. I can help, but what happens is we get clients that wait till the last minute. They have a realtor who's eager not to lose a client, so they're out showing property without pre-qualifying. They got lenders that don't want to lose the business that are, yes, you're qualified, but oops, I forgot to mention all these other 19 things on the credit report. So we get the cart before the horse. Then you've got a person that's at the last minute trying to do something they should have done a year ago.
Yeah.
They come to you with unrealistic expectations, and the irony is that the very realtor and the very lender that put me through the ringer to make sure I was legal and ethical have now placed very unethical time frames onto us to perform a miracle, right? So it's kind of having that coming to Jesus with each client, saying, listen, there is no overnight credit repair. And it would be very expensive if it was. It just isn't. It is effective, but with COVID-19, just sending out one round of disputes used to be a 30 calendar day resolution. Now it is 30 to 45 business days until you receive anything. So you're essentially 60 days in before you even have the responses back from the first round.
Wow.
So that would mean we'd have to be pretty much 100% successful within the first 90 days to help someone up 150 points. It's not going to happen. Very rarely. So right now more than ever, if I could, express to especially lenders and realtors watching, if they are watching right now, which I hope they are, it's about relearning the normal. We're having to do that in everything from homeschooling to, Grubhub every 2 seconds and, this new normal that we're doing. Now is the time to reinvent a little bit of what we consider to be realistic expectations and sit down and say, yes, this absolutely works. It hasn't stopped working, but we need to say 4 to 6 months, maybe 4 to 8 months even, and get people starting way, way sooner than they used to have to.
Yep.
So folks, do not wait till the last minute because it'll be very tough. So make sure you get it done.
Yeah. And it works, you guys. It's such a great program. It just needs, you start earlier.
What is something that you would tell an 18-year-old that is getting into the adult world and they don't understand any of this? What's at least a little tidbit?
So 2 things. We talked about secured credit cards a lot the last time I was with you on your show. But, if you don't have to go into debt to have excellent credit, but you do have to have some debt. And the key magic number is 3 credit cards. So 3 to 5, but let's start with 3 if you're 18. Start with 1 if you're 18, actually.
It's not for beer money.
Back to my old 18-year-old self.
Mom and Dad don't want to pay it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, boy. I have some stories with that. I still remember my mom's Nordstrom card by heart, so not a good sign.
That's awesome.
And back then, you didn't even need to bring it. You just told them the number, and they're like, okay, if I can tell you how much stuff I bought on that thing. But nonetheless, not to memorize your mom's card, but to have a card, use it. And the key is not to pay it off every month. I know that sounds weird, right? Like, you look at me, congratulations, Tiffany paid her card off every month. The key is to show a utilization pattern, and that can't be reported unless you have a couple months of on-time payments and usage. So my best strategy is to make a minimum payment 1 month, make a second minimum payment the second month, and then the third month, pay it off in full, then leave it alone for a couple months. You don't have to be in debt, paying interest more than maybe 2 months. But you can't pay it off in full and leave it unused either.
So if somebody has $1,000 limit on their credit card, what's the ideal range that they should be in?
25 to 35% is the most.
So you don't want to rack it up to $995 with debt.
No, you
want
don't.
to keep it $250 to $350.
That's correct. And they consider 50% utilization to be maxed out. So as soon as you hit that $500 mark, on the 1,000, you've got it pretty much maxed out, and the FICO score takes a huge, huge hit. So that's something to also consider too.
Wow. Yeah. And then, so you mentioned the auto loans and stuff like that. So you got a 60-month agreement, and you get about 30 months into it, and you're like, oh, cool, I could just throw off the rest of this money and pay it off, kind of thing. Why is that a bad thing?
So it's not necessarily a bad thing unless you're worried about your score.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So when I went through my divorce, I had a couple of things that needed to change immediately, and I thought, well, I've got this extra little amount of money. So as a single mom at the time, I didn't want debt. So I paid off my pool, I paid off my solar, I paid off things that I didn't want that. And it put me about $1,200 a month in the black every month. And I still to this day know that was the right thing to do. That being, and then my lease on my Mercedes was up, which I'll never lease again. That was a big learning. So I had 3 humongous moves all at the same time. And my score went down almost 90 points.
Wow.
And in every one of those instances, I paid off very large amounts of money. And large for me, at least. Yeah. Not to everybody. But to me, they were pretty substantial. And I felt good doing it. I felt like, okay, I can breathe. If something emergency happens, I can afford what I have, my bills.
Yeah.
But my score took a huge hit. And as a credit repair owner of a company, a CEO, and you're talking to people, let me see your credit. And you're like, I was still, still in the high 7s, but you don't ever want your client's credit to be better. Yeah, that's a little much. Little much. But it was important. And it actually, once again, was an opportunity for me to teach people, listen, sometimes you make good financial decisions. And as long as you do those things about a year before you're going to purchase a home to be safe, good. by all means do
Yeah.
it. And FICO considers that a credit gardening phase. So they realize that you're going to make some moves. Sometimes it's more than one thing at a time. But as long as you make the moves and then you leave everything alone for a good 12 months, you're going to be fine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there really is a science to it. But the thing is, they don't tell you the science. You have to talk to somebody like you that knows what that formula is. And you're like, oh, okay, that makes kind of sense. I get it now.
And
I know.
are you able to know, like, if you do this, it's going to drop 10?
No.
If you do this, 20?
So
There
what's
is
crazy,
no-
and this is another little thing, I try not to ever get mad at the local lenders that I love so much, but they have these simulators, and they quote them like scripture to clients. You know, and they're best guesses. Like, if you pay this or this and this, and we dropped it, you're up 50 points. I've never, in fact, I'll give the next lender $100 if they're actually on the money, because they're not. Sometimes it's the opposite. And what's scary about those is they're predictors, and you're telling someone to take $6,000 of their money to pay off these things. And what if it doesn't help, and now they don't have the money for the down deposit on the house or
Right.
something? So I'm like, okay, let's do more of a. Let's talk facts, right? We know that 35% of the FICO algorithm is payment history. We also know that 30% is the utilization of credit. So just knowing that 65% of your FICO score is that, with the diversification being 15%, you can manipulate things by just the knowledge they do share so that you're not riding on 6 points.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or 7 points and stuff like that. So I would prefer to work in what they are willing to share than the idea of what could happen.
Yeah,
based on not very good science.
Is there a tier system of what you would say is excellent credit, then regular, and then low? What are those scores? Like, what's considered low, what's medium, what's high?
So it's so fascinating. So the FICO score itself, fascinating to me, which is like, again, shows what a geek I am, because not everyone thinks this is that fascinating. Okay, that was odd. But the FICO score has like 9 different versions of itself, right? So what an auto FICO considers to be excellent, a mortgage FICO doesn't necessarily. And
Oh.
then your bank and credit cards have different FICO scores. So truly in the mortgage world, because I think most people care about that probably the most, if you have a 700 FICO or higher, you're golden. 720, frankly, is really the magic number on a lot of refinances. There's nothing that a 720 couldn't do that an 850 can do.
Awesome.
So yes, it's kind of fun to be like A++++ student,
Yeah.
but really an A- is just as good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So what would a C student be? What's their number?
So the 6s,
Okay.
mid 6s. But again, I'd argue that some of the best life like I would say, but well-balanced lives are in the high 6s.
Yeah.
They don't have a ton of debt. They're not living paycheck to paycheck. They use the credit to their advantage. You know, they're not living in a bad place.
Yeah.
They have, a little bit more. That's kind of like in college when I found like C's really didn't affect me that bad. Like it was like actually the amount of work that I had to do to get the A versus the C, and look how much fun I was having.
Yeah.
I'm just
That's a great analogy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like really.
Yeah.
But yeah. So in all seriousness, I think the mid 6s is pretty good.
Where did you go to college?
San Diego State.
Can I ask her stuff?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Susan's question time. Go for it.
Here's where I start getting
Here's
really
a
sweaty. I'm getting sweaty right
a
now.
rapid
Go. What's
fire.
she gonna
It's
ask?
hot in here.
Go for it, Susan.
Here's
Ready?
it.
Go.
Susan's like, I've been watching you. I've got some questions.
No, I just like to get to know people, right? So, okay, so are you married?
I am. I have met the most incredible man. You know, it's funny. Not everybody gets a second chance at the okay, take 2. And it was almost way too soon. Almost felt like, but when it's God's timing. And so yes, I am remarried. Much easier last name to say.
What's your last name?
Cross.
Aww. Do you
Is there
like
any
the
sort of
cross?
interesting story about that name and
Yeah.
how you
No, just kidding. I'm just teasing. Yeah, so we were talking one of the first few times we were talking, and I was like, I wonder what his last name is, because I really kind of had a hard time with my last name, which you'd never say when you're married to the person. You're like, oh, this is a really awful last name.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'm going to ask, what his last name is. And right before he answered, I had done that quick in your head thing to God, like, God, give me a sign, give me a sign. Literally, I said that.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe me, I'm telling you, I did. I said it. And then seconds later, he's like, my last name is Cross. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? How much more of a sign?
Is that because you love the Lord?
It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you go to church and stuff?
So I feel like right now it's kind of a trick question.
Oh,
Like,
then don't answer it. I
We're not
wasn't
really
being
allowed
tricky.
to go to church. You
Oh,
know what
yeah.
I mean? Like,
Okay.
but yes, if,
I go to church.
Well,
Mine didn't close.
Well.
So yes, I'm a rule breaker.
yeah.
Yep.
We're all
Yep.
kind of doing that right now. I've
Yeah.
got I always joke that the private school, underground
Yep.
educational speakeasy going on too.
Yeah.
So,
I love that it's a speakeasy.
it is. I'm like, are your kids in school? I'm like, who's asking? Why?
Are you a government official?
I know exactly.
Yes.
It's a what do they call it? A camp.
Yeah.
It's a camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Educational
Daycare.
camp.
Yeah. Daycare. How many kids do you have?
2, 11 and 9,
Boys or girls?
both boys. Yes.
And their names?
So this is where it's interesting. Avery Zion and Zane Ashton. So A to Z.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite thing to do with them?
Recently it keeps changing, but I think right now it's, escaping to Arizona. We try to do that almost every weekend right now.
Does that mean to go to water or sand?
Both. So we did do the boating thing, and now that's kind of coming to the tail end, and we are doing the Can-Am, desert duning kind of thing.
So the kids have bikes or?
They do quads.
Oh, what
Yeah.
do you have?
A Can-Am.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, you're like, what is that
I'm
again?
so excited. What's a Can-Am? Sounds like a camera.
It's kind of like it's like the Razor or like the, the duning, what is it, sand rail kind of thing.
Dune buggy, autumn. Yeah.
I'll send you pictures.
The cool
It's really
stuff.
cool.
You can
Ooh.
jump them and stuff.
You can?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have to wear a helmet and stuff
Yeah.
when you're in it? Because you
Yeah.
could roll?
You could roll.
Have you ever rolled?
I have not, but I don't want to say that because I haven't necessarily driven the dunes by myself yet.
Yeah.
So
Do you want to roll? Like, is it fun when
no.
you roll?
No, I mean, they're expensive
Means you
machines.
crash?
Yeah.
I don't want to fix it.
Not cheap.
Yeah, I told my husband, I'm like, you are not driving it like you stole it. I'm telling you that right now. You're gonna drive it like kids are in the car.
Yeah, like we bought it and we don't
yeah,
want to buy it again.
We don't want to.
He's all in the dunes in his blinker. He's like, not that careful.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's awesome. Okay, favorite color?
Ooh, I don't know. Whatever makes me look better that day. I'm like, that's my new favorite color today. I like, it's funny. I kind of like grays and browns and neutrals most of the time. But then after a while, it's like I kind of feel like my whole half of my closet looks exactly
Right.
like that. I'm like, oh,
Oh yeah, I'm all
Mine's
black
all
and white.
Mine's all black
black and
red.
red. It's weird.
Yeah.
Who would do that?
Yeah. Makes it easy.
He's like looking at me like, what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
Favorite food?
Oh gosh, you know what? What am I into right? Oh, I can totally answer that right now. I have been on a kick. I'm doing the Mediterranean food thing.
I don't even know what it is.
So Luna Grill,
Oh, okay.
or like Mr. Kebabs. Like
Okay.
I like all that stuff.
What's your favorite
Minus the
thing?
rice and the pita bread because that's awful for you.
What's the favorite thing to cook?
I don't cook.
Neither do I.
I just don't.
And I think when I grow up, but I'm 59 now, that I'm gonna cook.
Yeah.
I pretend all the time that I'm gonna cook something. I pretend I'm gonna bake. I'm especially
Yeah.
pretend to bake. But I'll pull out that box of brownies and I'll put an egg and some oil in it and make it.
There you go.
It's not my skill set.
You
And
know
I
what?
don't enjoy doing the dishes.
Susan, I'm horrible. I'll be honest. So chicken is tricky. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I really envy people that can make chicken. I mean, I can make chicken, but it's either going to be really tough and taste like rubber,
Yeah.
or you're going to wonder if you just got E. coli because it's like juicy and like pink. And I don't have that mastered. I will say I am a just amazing crock pot person. I have like 10 different crock pot
See,
things.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah, I can do the crock pot.
Okay.
But the consistency of meat in a crock pot is the same. At the end of the day, it's going to be shredded chicken, shredded whatever. So I'm just Grubhubbing these days. That's my
Really?
new normal. And I'm giving myself grace.
Uh-huh.
If you have the provision, if God's providing the ability to afford it right now,
Yeah.
that is all he's going to, my people are getting. Because I'm working and homeschooling and doing all the things.
Do you like homeschooling?
I don't. I really don't.
I loved it. Someone,
Yeah.
I loved it.
If I was just homeschooling
Yes,
and I was
that's
home and
right.
I was doing like laser focused on my kids, like Pinterest mom,
Yeah.
that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And in that case, I love being with my children.
Yeah.
But when you're, talking to 25 people a day and just trying to, it doesn't help them when I'm stressed out and, not giving them the attention that they need. And
And then you're trying to explain Common Core math.
which
to
I
them.
never learned
Yeah.
regular
No,
way. I'll be
no.
honest. Like
I
I
don't
understand it.
No.
my math level ended in 4th grade, just in general. It's amazing that I got pushed through all the grades after. It's not my thing. So you acknowledge your weaknesses and you hire people or you ask for help in the
Yeah.
areas that you can't do.
That's right.
Yeah.
If I have to take off my shoes to use my hands and my toes, you
Totally.
just got to do what you got to do.
And I will tell you, my 4th grade math teacher said, Tiffany, you're going to have to know this because you'll never be able to carry your calculator around with you all the time. Really?
Proved
That's
her wrong.
Mr. Walsh.
Oh my gosh, isn't that just
Yeah.
the truth? We were told,
Yeah.
we were given lines of malarkey.
Yeah.
I don't want to use malarkey anymore.
Yeah.
Used to be my word until a
Somebody
specific
else took
time.
it
Oh
over.
boy.
Yes.
Someone stole it?
Yeah, someone stole it. Not someone I want
Not
to imitate.
good.
No one I want to imitate.
Oh
He
boy.
steals lots of things.
What?
I said he steals lots of things.
Oh dear.
This
oh, my
went
goodness.
sideways.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
We'll keep that on track. All right, keep going.
Okay, so what would you say is your very biggest strength?
Transparency. I think we talked about that. I think that it can be a weakness, and some people can be okay. That was a little much. You know, that was a little much, and that's okay. I think as you get older, I'm okay with not being everybody's everybody. And I didn't used to be okay with that. I think I used to always want to be a people pleaser and a yes ma'am and no sir and all the things. And honestly, at the end of the day, nobody ended up liking you, right? Or they're like, who is that
Gosh,
person
yeah.
that's like trying to do all that? So
Isn't there freedom in that?
there is, you know, and being considerate of people, but at the same time, everybody has a different purpose. And I think for me, it is to be my own story consistently comes to fruition in a way to help. So for me, it's transparency, whether you like it or not. And you can always delete me from Facebook. I mean, that's kind of the thing, too. You know? If you're not a fan, then bye-bye.
How about your biggest weekness? Ooh, do you have one?
No.
Let's see if that transparency really comes through.
Being a perfectionist, you know, there's so many to choose from. I have a short temper.
You do?
I do. I have a very short temper, and it's interesting. It's getting worse and worse.
The older we get.
And we were talking about this before, but I'm really, really great in the environment of business. We were talking when I have my high heels on and I'm in business, it's all about lists. And I'm a driver. I like to have accomplishments. I don't leave the day without every email being checked, every person being called back. I have my to-do. I physically write out my list before I leave. My desk needs to look ready for tomorrow.
Yep.
That is me in a nutshell. But when I get home, and I have 2 children and a husband, and can't have the same approach to your home as you do your business.
Run it like a business.
You can't. And stay married and have kids love you, and it doesn't work. So my biggest thing moving into the next couple years of my life is going to be taking the high heels off, putting the slippers on, dropping the perfectionistic.
Yeah, because it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. And you got to take off the coat and put the sweater on when you get home.
Is that why Mr. Rogers did that?
Yeah.
I think it's super good.
Interesting.
Take off work.
Yeah.
And
But I like that approach, though, about the heels to slippers approach, because I think there's a mental shift that happens.
And you know what's really funny is I feel that exact same way. And when I would get home, I had my clothes on and I had my high heels on, and that person did arrive and stay that person until I took it off.
Exactly.
It's like you dressed, you put it on in the morning, and when you got home, you had to take it off in order to change that role.
You do.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's interesting when you actually go, well, how did that actually work out for you?
Yeah.
I mean, do you kids like being around you?
Yeah, no.
Half the time they're like super excited to go to their dad's because it's just laid back, and you know, he would argue that it's not, but it is. It's just kind of a free for all, and there's a time and a place for all that. And I think that balancing that is going to be always going to be my hard thing, you know.
So right now, your kids are 11 and
11 and 9.
11 and 9. What would you today, at this age, this Tiffany, say to your 21-year-old son?
I'm so sorry. You know what I would say? I saved for college and I saved for therapy. So
which one do you want to go
here
to?
you go.
Yeah.
You can do them both.
Choose
your
path.
I did the best I could. And, you know, we never set out to make mistakes financially. We talk about in credit. You know, we don't ever set out to say, I'm going to ruin my children's lives tomorrow morning is the worst day of their life, you know?
Yeah.
So we set out in the moment to make the best decisions we can. Sometimes we need to say we're sorry.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing I'm also really learning about myself to my children is that, yes, I am their mom, and yes, they need to listen to me, and yes, they need to respect me, but it's super powerful when you can, like, look them eyeball to eyeball and say, Mom is a jerk. That was awful. You know, I literally felt my veins popping out of my neck, and I'm pretty sure if my windows were open, CPS should have been, I'm yelling, like, wow, you know, and it's like, wow, that was probably not the best way of handling that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
As a father of 3, I get it, because they just build you up, and then,
Yes.
you know, but
Yeah.
I guess we have that ability to control that, but sometimes we don't.
Yeah,
Sometimes we
and
just-
you know,
those are
you can, in all fairness, they can push us, right? Like you
Yeah.
said, you know, you can say 6 times to go put your shoes on the stairs and go brush your teeth. The 6th time, it's no longer nice mommy. You know, it's mean mommy, and you can choose that. But sometimes it's, you know, not good. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I beat my children, so not really. I only beat the first one. Second one saw the beatings, never wanted to
You
be
didn't want to
beaten,
be a part of it?
He's the nice child.
Set the
I don't
example.
mean that. They're
Set the
both
example.
nice children.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how you got called to be a mom, and when your name changed to mom, there was no direction manual?
Nothing.
But the thing that you are doing and giving to them is all the life that you are living in that example. And I would be so happy if you were my mom, because I would pick a brilliant woman as a wife.
Oh, that is so sweet.
No, but that's real. The example that you have set for them, and then not playing the martyr of getting a divorce. You let someone else in to love you and to lead and to be next to you so that your children see what that example is. That's a true, humble, beautiful person. So, I don't know. I think differently about it.
Thank you. And there's some, naysayers, and when people go through certain things, there's the people, where's her kids when she's at the river, and what'd she, oh, look at that top was a little low. You got to give someone going through a divorce, especially certain types of divorces that were kind of brought on out of nowhere kind of thing. I watch a lot of people that are going through divorces, and I get it. And I watch them on, good for her. She's doing her best thing, and this next 12, 24 months is going to be her relearning herself. And sometimes you see it a little bit more on Facebook for a while. You're like, oh, here she goes. The typical divorce thing. And it's good. It's healthy. And women should be edifying each other through all of that. Men too, but men seem to do that more. I don't do the jealousy woman thing. To me, there's enough happiness, there's enough success to go around for everyone. And I think it's really fun to see people doing their best version of themselves.
It just is. And so, and there were the days where I was that girl. Where my boobs were fabulous. Oh, maybe we should cut that out. But I was that person, and to pass that on to the next generation with grace, and look at those young ladies, like, your wife is adorable.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got a hot little wife, and it was fun being the hot wife. Like, that was fun. Yeah. But then things happen. It's called gravity and age, and that's okay. So I love seeing a beautiful woman know she's beautiful. And one of the things that I say to young ladies who are being pretty outside, on the outside, I'm like, no, enjoy that. Enjoy that season. Live it and feel it and love it. And do not be ashamed of it. And don't let anyone else tell you should be.
Right.
Because they shouldn't be. Because it is a season, and it's fun.
It is. And it's usually a very short season of relearning, right? Okay, this isn't just about being married. And so I have a heart for divorce right now in particular, because it, fresh out of the box for me, but frankly, it's all over the place right now with COVID-19. I'm seeing gazillions of clients, and that's one of the things we're talking about. And it becomes not just a credit conversation, but hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
So give yourself grace.
Yeah.
Now, what becomes not okay is putting dating above your kids, and like they're already going through a hard time, and sheltering them is super important. And so on that level, of course, kids come first always.
Yeah.
So there is balance. It's all about balance.
Yeah.
And to your point, letting kids see you succeed and come out. I used to go in my closet and cry. I would cry. My mom said, wait till the kids go to bed. Go in your private place, cry your brains out, but you need to get up and go. Like, you dust yourself off, and the next morning the kids don't see you they can't watch you just bawling all the time. It's not healthy for them, and then they have to go to school and cry. So it was a matter of give yourself the time, the season. Yeah. To the pity party, as my dad used to call it. Have your pity party, but put what is that, expiration date on it. Yeah. And start going again. And that's why credit, singling back, super important to do that, where you go, okay, this was a season, but it doesn't need to be 7 years. It can be, let's address it, let's get rolling on it. Yeah.
Let me see your wedding ring.
Oh my gosh, it's dirty right now, but.
Oh my gosh, it's so pretty.
Thank you. I'm a rose gold girl. I love rose gold.
Oh, how did he propose?
In Cabo on his birthday, on his 50th birthday, on the beach.
Oh.
It was so special, and it was raining, so I didn't want to go on the beach that day. And he was like trying to get me to go to the beach. And in true boss lady fashion, I was like, no, it's raining. And he's like, can we please? It's my birthday.
And gives you that look.
Yeah, I was like, and he was stressing out because I guess he had tons of people. He had tons of people watching, and they're waiting for it. So he was like, "Can we please go?" And I'm like, "Can we get coffee first?" And taking my time to get out there, and finally realized, oh my gosh, I'm being typical Tiffany. So it was special. It was neat.
But I like that you're a leader there, just like you are in our industry.
Aw,
Thanks for being a leader. Thanks for being a mentor. Thanks for having a heart. Thanks for having grace. Thanks for taking all these people under your wing and being their credit mama. and repairing their lives
And
because
thank
you're
you
changing
for having
people's
me and
lives.
saying all these special things. I'm going to
No,
leave
it's
feeling
just
so
so
loved
true.
today. Thank
It's
you.
just true, and you need to let all of that be in your heart.
Oh, thank
And
you.
on the day where you're tired or your kids are exhausting you, you need to remember those little pieces that you change people's lives. And you know what? I did get a little bit tired, and that was okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
That's
good.
okay.
Thank you. I'll
That's
take that
okay.
nugget with
Well
me right
said.
now.
Well,
Well, you guys are incredible, and John, you know I'm your hugest fan too, as far as your whole story, which we'll get into later, but another time. But this guy,
I know. One of a kind.
yeah, he's
One
got a
of a
whole
kind.
nother mission that we're gonna
Yeah.
hopefully get into soon.
I've been resisting it, but I think with supporters like you guys,
Yeah.
I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, tomorrow's not promised, right?
No, it's not.
And that's why that's a new thing to say for me too, and I'm saying it out loud more because
Mm-hmm.
we're not guaranteed. And as much as we used to always think, okay, in retirement, I'm going to get the motorhome and drive around.
Yes.
Very few people have the health when it's that time to
Yes.
do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, I'm with
guys.
you, but
Yes.
kind of want you to,
Hurry it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
put
you
the-
need to. You need
get
to.
going on that.
Typical
Yeah.
type A female.
Yeah, I'll create your to-do list and I'll set an expiration date on your. Yeah.
And an alarm.
Let me show you how this is done, John.
I call that the cul-de-sac. You can only drive around a couple times and say, all right, let's get out. Get out of the cul-de-sac.
Well said.
But I'm going to say that, and I encourage you guys to live those things that you think you're going to do later. Because now I never would have known that my health would be affected to a degree where I couldn't run with my dogs. Like I didn't know. I didn't know that was going to happen. And so you have to grab the time right now where you have this youth. I encourage you to grab it. And every morning, don't go to bed until you used some of it.
Yeah,
you know?
that's good.
Or go to bed and use some of it.
Hey-o. There's that, Susan.
That would be something I would say,
okay.
Tiffany.
I love you. And it's never like packaged like how you think it's gonna come out. It's just whoosh.
It's Susan. It's a
And
Susanism.
that's her.
I'm so sorry.
She seems so innocent, like, in the whoosh. I'm like, okay.
Just pops out there. Like,
Life is so funny.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I think we were designed to enjoy it. I think God giggles at us and he giggles with us, and we should do the same.
I like that.
You know?
Wasn't there Bible scripture that we entertain angels, or I'm like, I'm sure
Oh.
we do.
Yeah.
I have
All the
my
time.
life verse is the joy of the Lord is my strength.
Love
That's
that.
my fave. Do you have a favorite Bible verse?
Romans 12:2,
What is it?
which I can't recite right now, but what is it? You're supposed to know it. You just
I
put me on
don't
the
know
spot.
it. What's
Not
Romans
of the
12?
world. Not of the world. It's the one of not NOTW.
Oh, okay.
Come
Not
on.
of not of this world.
Not of this world. Do you have that scripture? Come on, we need you.
It's not of this world.
Yeah.
I love that.
But I know, but I want the actual words. I usually can wrap it out.
But remember that store, and when there was the brand of not of this world?
Yeah, they're
Gosh,
huge
that
there,
was
about a
huge for a
decade
minute.
ago.
Yeah, Romans 12:2. So in other words, and I'll read. I should actually know it by heart now because it's been a while. But essentially, like, don't conform to the ways of the world.
Yes. But be
Right.
transformed.
Exactly.
By the
because
renewing of
that.
your mind.
Thank you. I knew it would come to me.
Yes.
But truly, because it's especially right now, right? The
Yes.
new normal is all the things wrong.
Yeah.
And
it
you're
is.
supposed to just be okay with all of it, So
It is.
yeah, not to conform with the ways of the world, and to be okay being the silent majority.
I like being the loud majority. I'm a little noisy. I'm like,
Needed in a time like this.
like, okay, I might be noisy. I'm going to say some inappropriate stuff, and I'm going to say it loud.
And you're going to say it with a smile.
With a microphone.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Well, Tiffany, you truly are a life changer. You help people's numbers go from a small number to a big number.
There you go.
And you literally have an incredible impact in this community. And we're very grateful to know you, to have you in our corners. And you changed my life, you changed her life, and countless others. So you really are a life changer. And that's why you are shining so bright under the spotlight in the Signature Studio Spotlight series.